All right, let's get right into this. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking something pretty wild. Long before we had all these modern productivity hacks and life coaches constantly filling our feeds, an 1871 philosophical text called Morals and Dogma actually laid out what I'd call the ultimate blueprint for building a truly meaningful legacy. Specifically, we're looking at Chapter 8 and diving deep into this foundational concept known as the Intendant of the building. But hey, before we get into the actual mechanics of this philosophy, let's just pause for a second. You put in a ton of effort every single day, right? You strive, you hustle, you check things off the to-do list. But let's zoom out a bit and ask a absolutely massive question. What are you building with your life? This concept literally asks us to look way past our daily routines and really examine our ultimate overarching direction. So to figure that out, we're going to break this whole concept down into 4 distinct phases, starting right off with phase 1, the foundation, purpose, and direction. Think about it. Any awe-inspiring structure out there has to start with a rock-solid foundation, right? And in our lives, that foundation is clear intention. So what exactly is an intendant of the building? Well, it's this incredibly modern, actionable mindset of purposeful creation. It's the profound understanding that life itself is basically a construction project meant to leave a lasting impact. We aren't just bystanders watching history happen. We are the active architects of our own lives, and we need to act with intentional creation every single day. There is a really stark contrast between 2 totally different ways of living. On one side, you have scattered effort. That's action without direction. It's exactly what happens when you work incredibly hard, you're exhausted at the end of the day, but you completely lack a why. On the flip side, there's purposeful creation. That is action guided entirely by intention. Purpose is what transforms mere effort into genuine fulfillment. So the driving question isn't just what you are doing with your time, it is entirely about why you are doing it in the first place. All right, so once we've poured that foundation of purpose, things really start to gain momentum. That brings us to phase 2, the scaffolding, discipline, and teamwork. Building a real legacy takes serious action, momentum, and rigorous structure. The author of the source text, Albert Pike, makes this very, very clear. True success is deliberately engineered. It is never accidental. You don't just, stumble into creating a masterpiece. You have to plan it out. You have to organize your resources. And you absolutely must maintain the discipline to consistently apply that effort over time. And here is a fundamental truth we absolutely cannot ignore. No great structure is built alone. Think about every magnificent building in history. They were all built by thousands of hands. Every individual has a role, and every single role has immense value. Seriously, no contribution is insignificant. Even the smallest efforts matter tremendously when they're properly aligned within a greater collective vision. Because we can't build alone, we obviously have to collaborate. And that collaboration rests heavily on 3 core requirements: trust, communication, and a shared vision. An intendant actually coordinates efforts and deeply respects the roles of everyone else around them while working toward a common goal. It's this specific type of unity that takes isolated individual effort and transforms it into massive, enduring achievement. Now we pivot to something a bit deeper. Phase 3, the interior, your inner architecture. The source material takes this really beautiful, kind of surprising philosophical pivot right here. We spend so much of our time focused on external building, right? Our relationships, our careers, our outward impact on society. But the exact same principles of purpose and discipline absolutely have to apply inward to our internal building. That means our character, our daily habits, and our mindset. Because honestly, you literally cannot construct a magnificent external legacy if your internal architecture is crumbling. Which brings us to what is arguably the most powerful point in the entire text. The most important structure you will ever build is yourself. Your own character is the ultimate internal architecture. The discipline, the meticulous planning, and that precise purpose we apply to our outward projects, we have to apply all of that to shaping who we are as individuals first. And that inner work naturally leads us to the culmination of it all. Phase 4, the monument, crafting your legacy. This is all about the lasting impact of your actions. A true intendant of the building doesn't just think about today's tasks, they think about what endures long, long after the scaffolding finally comes down. So let's quickly distill the big takeaways from this blue point. 1, life is a continuous building process. 2, purpose directs your effort and saves you from spinning your wheels with scattered action. 3, every single contribution matters. And 4, true fulfillment ultimately comes from meaningful creation. This right here is the complete framework for living a deeply intentional life. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with one final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. What will you leave behind? The path of the Intendant is the ultimate journey of purposeful creation. Your daily actions, the things you do today, they are laying bricks right now. So build with purpose, act with real intention, and always remember, what you create today is exactly what defines your legacy tomorrow. Thanks for diving into this with me. Keep building.